So is manifestation witchcraft, or is witchcraft just spicy manifestation? That one's for the kitchen witches. So, if you're new to the channel, my name is Melissa. You can call me Mel too. This is Uncensored Intuition, where we talk about weird stuff, metaphysical stuff, occult possibly sometimes. We do witchy unboxings, and we also do tarot readings. So if that's your thing, stick around. We're going to have a discussion today. So forewarning, I am not actually going to answer this question because it is up to you. I'm just here to present information and my own thoughts on the subject. Also, if you are here to out somebody or to prove that somebody is a witch, you're not going to find what you're looking for here. So you can watch if you want, but yeah, I'm not going to help you do that. So let's get into it. What I did, oh, hold on, I got to go get another page. Okay, that's better. Now, I printed out, and these are my notes too, the definition of manifestation and the definition of witchcraft. So there are a lot of definitions. I'm going to read you all of the ones that came up, and then we're going to stick with one of them that actually applies. So for manifestation, 1, the act, process, or instance of manifesting. That's not helpful. Something that manifests or is manifest. Also not helpful. A perceptible outward or visible expression. That's more like it. One of the forms in which an individual is manifested. An occult phenomenon. Or a public demonstration of power and purpose. So for our discussion or topic, we're going to stick with a perceptible outward or visible expression as manifestation. That's the closest one for our purposes. So the definition of witchcraft. The use of sorcery or magic. Communication with the devil or a familiar. Now that one made me want to never look up anything in the dictionary again, because so inaccurate. I cannot trust the dictionary anymore. An irresistible influence or fascination. Rituals and practices that incorporate belief in magic and that are associated especially with neo-pagan traditions and religions such as Wicca. Practitioners of Wicca. Or less commonly, a tradition or religion that involves the practice of witchcraft. How can the word witchcraft be in the definition for the word witchcraft? Make it make sense. Anyways, so the one we are going with for the purpose of this video is rituals and practices that incorporate belief in magic and that are associated especially with neo-pagan traditions and religions. So that is our closest Webster's definition, okay? So there's a lot more to it than that. There were some things that I wanted to say that are kind of slightly leading off topic, but I'm going to say it anyways. You know what, we'll get to that. Let's look at the similarities and the differences between manifestation and witchcraft. Let's see if we can suss it out. All right, so I made my own definitions, kind of incorporating Webster's dictionary, but for more practical how I use, see, experience, perceive these things. So my definition for manifestation is intentionally or unintentionally sometimes using techniques and methodologies to create or transform thoughts into physical or tangible reality. That's my definition of manifestation. My personal definition of witchcraft is intentionally using tools, traditions, rituals, and practices to create or alter perceptible reality, commonly associated with the occult. Now, what would be your definition? If you could write your own Webster's dictionary definition for witchcraft and manifestation, one or the other, leave it in the comments. I'm curious how you guys perceive each. So let's get into the similarities first, and that's where I'll go into that one kind of off topic. So the first similarity that I want to point out is techniques for manifestation and tools with witchcraft. So techniques for manifestation include spoken word, as in affirmations, visualizations. Those are techniques. Acting as if is another common technique. Some manifestation techniques include crystals and are not considered witchcraft. That's part of the New Age fluff that we have going on. And then also some use sacred geometry. So in witchcraft, the tools, spoken word as in spells, are affirmations spells? That's for you to decide. Um, Other tools include herbs, crystals, and symbols. Symbols like maybe could include sacred geometry. So there's the similarities with the tools and techniques category. Other similarities, they both require focus. Whatever tool or technique you are using does require focus for both sides. Uses intention and effort. Yes, you have to put in effort. Now, the little bit of a difference there, I would say, is a lot of times things manifest unintentionally. Like a headache is a manifestation of being dehydrated. You didn't mean to get a headache, but it manifests because of an action. There is an effort involved, but not necessarily the intention. So there is a little bit of a difference there, but similarity requires effort and intention for the most part. Belief, just belief and trust. I have them listed separately, but they kind of go hand in hand. Believing and trusting that what you're doing is going to present, and then I used prevent earlier. Now I don't even know what word I was trying to use. Oh, for crying out loud. But produce, maybe that was the word, a desired outcome. So you have to trust and believe in yourself, in your abilities, in your capabilities, and in whatever force that you see as non-physical helping you, whether it is God, universe, the elements, metaphysical properties of herbs or ingredients, or your own intention and your own energy that you produce. They all require belief and trust. So there's another similarity that I wanted to point out. And also a belief that all things are energy. I feel like that is kind of universal for both. If you didn't believe that, then how could you really believe that you can, manipulate that? Another kind of key word for a definition for both would include manipulating energy, so that's it. That's that. And then the last one I have listed as a similarity is trying to change an outcome. They both change an outcome. So they are very, very similar. The differences are a little one-sided, we'll say. The only real differences, there is one difference that I have assigned to manifestation, and that is that it's more socially acceptable. Nobody's condemning people. I mean, not nobody. For the most part, if you say you manifested something or that you were using positive thinking and affirmations to produce an outcome or to heal yourself, etc., nobody's really going to bat an eye at that. However, if you are using witchcraft, it's a little more condemned socially. So that would be the beginning of the next list, which is what the differences are for witchcraft, how witchcraft differs from manifestation. Traditions that are handed down. So this is where I get into that little bit of a slight tangent, but I have notes to keep me on track, hopefully. The traditions that are handed down, that are passed down, they're older. So there are specific traditions, specific knowledge and information that is passed down that would not necessarily be considered on if you were doing a non-occult manifestation journey. And that's where it kind of leads me to the history a little bit, just a smidge. The history, when you think of witchcraft, you think of probably the first thing that comes up is the Salem witch trials, right? Aside from, Halloween and what movies make witches out to look like. Aside from that, when you're in a serious capacity thinking about witchcraft, you kind of automatically go to the old ways, the Druids, the Vikings, the natives. And that's what I wanted to point out that's a little off tangent. There is, and I mean this with the most respect, and I respect the indigenous culture greatly. So I don't want this to come off as anything other than respectful. I feel like there's so much similarity between indigenous practices and witchcraft that and I don't know if there's proof or if anybody's ever said this, but I personally feel like the whole war against witchcraft and trials, I feel like it was because it resembled to people who were persecuting them. It resembled traditional native and indigenous traditions and ways of living. And I feel like that's why it was labeled the way it was. Out of patriarchal colonization mindsets. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say on that. But I feel like there is a connection there that I wanted to point out, and why I feel like it goes so deep with it's very rooted in that colonization mindset, where it is condemned socially and it is considered evil, or what else did I write down here? It's on this one. The definition of that made me want to throw away the dictionary: communication with the devil or a familiar. I feel like that's rooted in colonization and racism. So sorry, just saying. When you think about the history and you think about witchcraft, there is an association with history, and it's not just that. It's the shamans, it's the medicine women. Those are all perceived kind of similarly, and so I feel like there is a little bit of that kind of taints the idea of witchcraft, and I feel like that's a lot of why people lean more into talking about manifestation, because they're afraid of repercussions from just flat out calling it witchcraft, and they're leaving out the things like the herbs and the rituals and the I don't even want to say spells. They just changed it to affirmations or mantras, but I feel like that's why they just decided to leave that out to avoid persecution and call it manifestation. Again, personal opinions. I am not your guru, your guide, your leader, your master, your resource. I am your muse. I am a muse. I am here to inspire thought, to inspire what else? I have all of these things written down. Let me just use my cheat sheet for that too. Thought, realization, and of course for the research. So this is your journey, and you are your own guide. So other major difference is the research that goes into it. I feel like there's a lot more research involved because of the traditions. Witchcraft is steeped in tradition and the old ways and nature and communing in that way. So there is a lot of research involved when you go down a witchcraft path. And again, going back to why they leave this out and just call it manifestation, and they doesn't mean anyone in particular, just in general, it is left out. I feel like for that reason as well, out of laziness. So yeah, there's a lot of effort involved in research. So basically, if you don't want to do the research, you could call it manifestation. I don't use herbs. I don't cast spells. I don't hex people. I don't worship deities. It's just manifestation. Because somebody may just not want to do the research. Okay, so we're going to move on from that. Again, kind of a little off topic. Another major difference is deities and holidays. I would commonly kind of refer to myself as a witch. My kids do. My husband does. It's not like a big deal to me. I kind of find it amusing, but I don't work with deities. I don't worship deities. There is a difference. I have researched deities just for my own personal knowledge, just because I'm interested and I like history and that sort of thing. But you don't have to associate with those things if it doesn't resonate for you. And if you don't, you can still label yourself however you want. So yeah, those are like the main differences that I see. So There are similarities, there are differences. One is not the other, and one is not one without the other, that kind of situation. So let me go ahead and, in conclusion, this. It's up to the individual practitioner, human being. Manifestation can be a form of witchcraft. You could be a witch without the deities, without the holidays, etc. from witchcraft. Or you could not. I want to add that if you do use deities or work with deities, worship deities, use the holidays, and the Sabbats and all of that, if you use those and it keeps you safe, you can call yourself a manifester. I do want to point that out. If it keeps you safe, you can call yourself whatever you want. This is your journey. These are your rules and your labels. So I want to open the floor again. What differences do you see between the two? How do you differentiate this? The purpose of this video is to open a discussion and open your thoughts and maybe process some new neural pathways and get some new information. Like I said, I feel like more of a muse. I'm not a resource. I like to bring you ideas so that you can do your own research and find your own path. So that's like the purpose of this. I am going to start sharing some of my manifestation stories. I feel like there's a little bit of a curve in the direction of the channel. Not really a curve, but more like a fun curve, not a hardball, like throw you to the other side of the car curve. So I will be starting to share some of my personal manifestation stories. Feel free to share yours. But I like doing these comparisons. So what comparisons are you interested in hearing about? I like doing research. I like comparing things. I don't know. I'm just a nerd. A couple of ideas that I've got kind of bouncing around in my head is shadow work versus therapy, because that's a big topic, I think. Psychics versus mediums. What kind of comparisons would you like to see? And I'll like dig in and bring you some information that hopefully will trigger something in you. But yeah, let me know what you think, your thoughts on the differences, what your definition of each would be. I'd love to hear it. I will see you in the next video. And of course, always remember that the magic you seek is in here. And it's up to you what you call it. Have a blessed day.